Scientists are pointing their fingers at Cold War-era microwave weapons for the illnesses of more than 36 American diplomats and family members in Cuba and China. The baffling symptoms first reported as possible sonic attacks.
Series of bizarre attacks, dozens of unexplained illnesses, including head injuries, forced the U.S. to bring home diplomatic staff from China and the U.S. Embassy in Cuba. Speculation at the time was that it was some sort of sonic attack. But now the scientist who led the investigation tells the New York Times the main culprit is likely some kind of microwave weapon. It is mysterious, but, there are a couple things from that reporting, that there is some place of blame, or at least looking seriously at Russia. And then the other is, it's not just a very disturbing high-pitched noise, but there might even be voices or a message, a continual message that people have been victimized by, this sound, there's this kind of messaging coming from it.
At least 17 civilians, 5 children, dead after Russia launched airstrikes against the rebel-held Idlib province in northwestern Syria. Yesterday, President Trump warned Syria, Iran, and Russia that any attack against the province would be a grave humanitarian mistake. The White House today threatening to retaliate should Assad use, again, chemical weapons against the Syrian people. Joining us tonight, retired 4-star general, Fox Business chief strategist, General Jack Keane. Great to have you with us, General.
Good to be here.
This is a red line drawn by the president, and your reaction to its enforceability and the prospects.
Well, first of all, he wasn't specific in his statement about what would cause him to react. He's obviously opposing what is about to be a very large-scale military campaign to destroy the 20,000 plus opposition forces that are in Idlib province, 10,000 of which, by the way, are al-Qaeda. But the concern everybody has about this is there are 3 million people that live there.
Right.
And the Assad way of war and the Putin way of war is actually to go in and use mass bombing campaigns to kill as many civilians, destroy as many structures as possible, and therefore drive the insurgents or the opposition forces out of the area. And that has worked for them time and time again. Our concern, stated by other U.S. officials, has been if they use chemical weapons, then we will respond. I think what the president is just cautioning them about conducting another bloodbath campaign where so many people are going to die, women and children and others. The Russians, by the way, are fully in support of Assad here. This is what they did when Putin took over. 90 days after he took over in Russia, he went into Chechnya and used conventional forces, a bombing campaign in Grozny, and killed tens of thousands of innocent people. That's what this campaign is about, and it is horrific.
Did you say Syria? Yes. I think it's a very sad situation in Idlib and the province, what's going on there. It's being surrounded, and they feel they have 35,000 of their enemy there, and yet you have 3 million people living there. And I just tell you that they will hopefully be very, very judicious and careful, because the world is watching. That cannot be a slaughter. If it's a slaughter, the world is going to get very, very angry. And the United States is going to get very angry, too.
France has joined the U.S. in threatening airstrikes against the Syrian government in the event of a chemical weapons incident. RT correspondent Dan Cohen has the latest.
Speaking to reporters Wednesday, U.S. President Donald Trump spoke on the situation in Idlib province in northern Syria.
I think it's a very sad situation in Idlib and the province, what's going on there. It's being surrounded, and they feel they have 35,000 of their enemy there, and yet you have 3 million people living there.
Trump's reference to the militants in Idlib, the majority of which are al-Qaeda, the internationally recognized terrorist group, as their enemy, comes after Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov accused the United States of having a hidden desire to protect al-Qaeda. This, as U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, said any chemical attack would be blamed on the Syrian government.
We're not going to fall for it. If there are chemical weapons that are used, we know exactly who's going to use them.
Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis said Wednesday that the al-Qaeda-dominated opposition has no capability to use chemical weapons. However, in July, the Russian Defense Ministry warned that militants in Syria were preparing a false flag chemical incident and that Russia had handed over the evidence to the U.S., UN, and Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. Meanwhile, France's top military official joined the United States in threatening a strike against the Syrian government. In April, the US, UK, and France launched more than 100 missiles at government installations after an alleged chemical attack, though they had no proof it actually happened, let alone Syrian government responsibility. With all eyes on Idlib, the Trump administration is signaling it may consider complying with Israel's declared sovereignty over the occupied Syrian Golan Heights. U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman told Israel Today, the newspaper funded by Trump donor Sheldon Adelson, quote, "I can't imagine a circumstance where the Golan Heights will be returned to Syria. I cannot imagine, frankly, a circumstance where the Golan Heights is not a part of Israel forever." Reporting in Washington, Dan Cohen, RT.